Can you believe it? That huge metal object sitting in front of them looking like some kind of cannon turns out to be a Vienna stage spotlight, the kind of professional lighting equipment used in top-tier opera houses. A brand new set like that can easily start in the hundreds of thousands, even pushing toward $1 million. Once those lights come on, it's basically printing money. And yet, somehow, something that valuable ended up abandoned in a junk-filled storage unit. This is a group of special storage hunters. They search through abandoned units, uncover unexpected treasures, and make serious money doing it. Today, 4 buyers are heading to an auction in Huntington Beach, California. Over on Mary's side, the young girl comes in fired up. She says everyone thinks she's just a pretty face. All looks, no results. But today, she wants to prove she can make real money and show everyone exactly what it means to have beauty and brains. Then we cut over to Daryl and his son. They haven't been to an auction in just 2 weeks, but somehow Daryl has already noticed that Mary looks heartbroken. In his mind, this is the girl he'd treat like treasure, afraid to let her fall, afraid to let anyone hurt her. And yet some jerk still managed to break her heart. At first, Daryl feels both angry and sympathetic, but the moment he sees Mary, all that frustration disappears. Wanting to cheer her up, Daryl even organizes a short foot race between Ivy and Mary. Watching the two of them laughing and having fun instantly puts him in a good mood. Then the scene shifts to unit number 1. David is the first to inspect it, and right away he spots several speakers and storage crates. He figures the unit might be worth considering, and with this kind of setup, there's probably more hidden inside. Meanwhile, Ivy sees the model airplane sitting there and starts reminiscing about his younger days. The more he stares at them, the more excited he gets, and before long, he reaches out and starts touching them. That's when Dan cuts in with a sharp warning. "Take your hands off that thing. Don't touch my plane." That nearly scares Ivy to death. Then it's time for the bidding. Since Ivy touched Dan's plane, he gets kicked out of the bidding area, and Mary finds that absolutely hilarious. But then David joins the battle, and the price quickly climbs toward $500. Daryl doesn't even like the unit that much, but he also can't stand watching David act tough in front of him. So he throws in a symbolic bid just to stir things up. But after testing the waters a little, he quickly backs off, worried that David might be setting some kind of trap. With Daryl out, nobody else dares challenge David. After the auctioneer calls it 3 times, David wins the unit for just $575. Once he gets inside, David starts his treasure hunt. First, he pulls out a surfboard, a toolbox, and some random odds and ends, making a quick $350. Then he finds a trash compactor, an antique truck model, and some collectible items, which bring in another $400. But the real surprise comes next, a carving machine. Based on the labeling, David realizes it's an advanced engraving machine. At that point, he already knows this thing could be a serious score. One appraisal might be all it takes to lock in the profit. So instead of slowing down, he waves his hand and keeps moving. On to the next unit. Now we get to unit number 2, which is actually 2 lockers being sold together as one lot. On paper, that sounds like a steal. After getting kicked out in the first round, Ivy is already rubbing his hands together, clearly tempted. But then Mary throws out a savage little comment that instantly shuts him down. "Come on, our 2 empty storage rooms put together are still cleaner than everyone else's face. Don't get ahead of yourself." That line gets a huge laugh out of David's side. Meanwhile, Daryl has already locked onto a stack of crates, a boat engine, and several mechanical items. But what really grabs his attention is the shelving unit in the corner. The moment he sees it, every artistic nerve in his body lights up again. Then, the bidding begins. Even though some people clearly don't have the money, they still refuse to give up and keep shouting bids anyway. Before long, the price shoots up toward $2,000. The expressions on people's faces start getting uglier and uglier, and you can feel the tension building. But once it comes down to David and Daryl, the whole room changes. Everybody else drops out, and now it's just the 2 of them playing mind games. As the price keeps rising, David slowly loses interest in dragging it out. After one last exchange, Daryl wins the final unit for $2,650. With the bidding over, Daryl gets to work. He starts pulling out miscellaneous items like an electronic military-style helmet and other random gear, making $425. Then he finds cabinets, a cleaning machine, and some antique furniture, which add another $480. After that, a saddle, a small stove, and a Yamaha surround sound system push his total haul past $2,000, all the way up to $2,205. Then Daryl finds something strange, a giant steel hoop. In his mind, this thing might actually be some kind of elephant hula hoop from a circus. Standing nearby, Brandy looks completely speechless. There is absolutely no way she believes elephants are out here doing hula hoop routines, so instead of arguing, they decide to take it to an expert. Meanwhile, over on Ivy's side, he's trying to keep his team from walking away with nothing, so he quickly grabs another unit somewhere else and brings in the very late Mary to help sort through it. Together, they pull out a safe, some speakers, and a cassette player, and all of that only brings in $80. Then Mary finds a weird-looking tripod. Excited, she shows it to Ivy and asks what it is. Ivy just silently takes it from her and carefully sets it aside. Basically, if you don't know what it is, what makes you think I know? That leaves Mary wanting to argue back, but with absolutely no comeback. After that, they find oxygen tanks, a hanging chair, and a cabinet, adding another $225. Then Ivy comes across a giant flashlight-looking object. Truth is, he doesn't know what it is either, but it happens to pair perfectly with the tripod Mary found earlier. That's why these two work so well together. Even when they're confused, they still somehow manage to sync up. Back with Daryl and his son, they take the giant steel hoop to an amusement venue and find an expert named Danny for an appraisal. Danny makes a flashy entrance, then examines the hoop and confirms that it really is circus equipment. The moment he hears that, Daryl practically starts floating with pride. Then Danny gives them a live demonstration of how the steel hoop is actually supposed to be used. Watching him handle it effortlessly, Daryl gets excited and immediately wants his clueless son Brandon to try it too. That goes about as well as you'd expect. The second Brandon gets on it, he wipes out hard and nearly busts himself wide open. One look at the miserable expression on his face and you can tell he's regretting every life choice that brought him there. Luckily, after the appraisal, the circus hoop ends up selling for an incredible $1,250. In the end, Daryl's unit brings in $3,455 total. After subtracting the $2,650 he paid, he walks away with a profit of $805. Then we check back in with David. After getting his machine appraised, he learns that it's a Chinese-made laser engraving machine typically used to carve custom designs into wood or glass. That immediately gets David's attention. He grabs a piece of glass and has a technician engrave something into it on the spot. Sure enough, the phrase he wants engraved is his own classic catchphrase. Seeing how clean and precise the result looks, David becomes even more interested. He asks the technician if he'd be willing to buy it, and the tech doesn't hesitate. He offers $300 on the spot. That brings David's total haul to $1,050. After subtracting the $575 he paid, he ends the day with a profit of $475. Finally, we return to Ivy and Mary. They take their mysterious equipment to lighting Professor Parker for an appraisal. Parker explains that it's actually a small stage spotlight, mainly used for teaching lighting students during training sessions. Then another professor gives them a rundown on how stage lighting is arranged, what it does, and why it matters. But let's be honest, Ivy and Mary couldn't care less about any of that. The only thing they want to hear is whether the professors are about to hand them a big stack of cash. And unbelievably, that's exactly what happens. One of the professors offers $2,500 to buy it. That completely shocks the duo. In the end, their unit brings in $2,905 total. After subtracting their tiny cost of just $1,110, they walk away with a massive $1,795 profit. So this episode's biggest steal goes to that goofy little duo in dominant fashion. Now the only question left is, how would you rate Ivy and Mary's stage performance today?